The last one we did, and it's been a 2-3 years.
Sure.
Was an AC/DC, that Bonfire.
Oh yeah,
that guy's really good.
That guy's
doing
good.
Both Brian and
Bond.
Bond, yeah.
Sure.
Shame
What
on
about
me.
doing Axl?
No. Dude, that was the biggest fucking farce. I don't care what anybody says. I would not. Somebody offered me fucking if they offered me tickets. No way.
So you're not going to buy the new album with Axl?
No.
No?
No.
See,
I'll be honest with you. I haven't bought the last few with Brian just because
they were lousy.
The last album I bought that I loved by them, Flick of the Switch, 83.
I like that. I liked Fly on the Wall after that.
Yeah.
But that's about when. And I kind of liked Razor's Edge. Razor's Edge had its moments, it's poppy.
Yeah, I mean, all the albums since have had a few tunes on that were decent.
See, I don't know. I would argue that all day long.
But see,
I didn't like Stiff Upper Lip at all. I didn't really like Ball Breaker at all.
Ball Breaker, we saw that tour. Because that was supposed to be possibly their farewell tour. That's the only reason we went.
Right.
Well, yeah, you see how that went. And I liked a couple songs of Black Ice, but not enough to buy it.
Rock or Bust was garbage.
Yeah.
It's Rock or Bust.
Yeah, no.
Garbage. Definitely garbage. But if Axl's going to do that, if they're going to do that, then they got to do something fun with it. Instead of just playing the same set list that Brian's been playing.
Right.
They gotta just go and play some goofy songs, like Playing with Girls or something. Just something that they've probably never played.
Did.
Yeah. I mean, how cool would that be to hear Axl doing some oddball,
I'd be totally honest with you. When that was announced that I still can't even, take that in. I just, no. The videos I saw, and I'm not saying he did a horrible job on everything.
Yeah.
But it's just, no. I would have rather seen them
break up.
Either that or find a fucking tribute.
Yeah, a clone guy.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they should do.
Yeah.
I get why they did it.
Look what Priest did with, when Rob
with
left.
Ripper. Yeah. And Journey.
Yeah.
Journey's done it too, but the problem that they had was probably financial only. They had to have a guy big enough to make those tickets.
Yeah.
If they went with just some guy, no matter how good he sounded, and I'll point to Journey, and I know Neely and I have told this story on the show before, but we caught Journey the first time they came through after Perry.
Right.
Which was with Steve Augeri as the singer.
Yeah.
And that guy was good, too. I mean, he sounded a lot like Perry, too.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it at the CSU Convo, which is maybe 10,000 people, maybe?
10,000. That's about right, yeah.
And they pulled a sheet, had to be 2/3 of the way up. I mean, it was a lot. It wasn't half and half. It was more than half.
Right.
So that there was maybe 20 rows on the floor, and then the rows kind of on the sides of the stage.
Yeah, right.
So there couldn't have been 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
And it was Journey with Frampton and John Waite. So you would think that
Frampton, you would think, would draw up.
Well, come on.
I know he's 100 years old.
Yeah,
but
if he didn't look like your grandfather's grandfather, maybe. But,
yeah.
He looks so damn old.
Yeah,
and then,
we're all getting old.
Well,
though.
I know. That's the sad part is, it's easy to poke fun at these guys. We all look like we're fucking 2 steps from the home, but I mean, that is the issue that I think AC/DC had to deal with was that first run would have to be smaller.
See,
and
I don't know, because I would think, well, yeah, that could be, but I would think just the name.
See, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. Even I mean, if we're going to look at that, we can go with Van Halen with Gary Cherone, and they had to scale down.
Yeah, right.
And that's Eddie Van Halen, who I would say name wise sells more tickets than Angus Young.
When you look at it that way too, even we saw Ripper play with Priest.
Yeah, at the Agora.
Yeah, the big stage at the Agora.
And let's face it, if Ripper's from fucking Kansas City instead of Cleveland, it's an even smaller show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If Tim wasn't playing his hometown where every friend he ever had was at that show.
Sure.
then you're probably looking at 500 people.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But KK was there.
Yeah, KK was, dude. One of my favorite times ever was after that show. I was hanging out after because me and Tim are pretty tight, and we were hanging out, and I'm sitting at a table, like over by the bar. This is after they got rid of most of the people, and all that was really around was Tim's friends.
Sure.
And I'm sitting at the bar. Tim's holding court with his family and his friends and whatever. And Glenn Tipton just comes over and sits down.
Yeah.
And he's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Good. How you doing?"
Shit.
And him and I just sat there for like 40 minutes.
I think you told that story once. Yeah, I remember that. That's cool as shit.
It was cool. And what was cool about it was we talked just about zero Judas Priest.
Right.
The only Judas Priest talk at all was he asked me what I was doing there. And I told him I was a friend of Tim's, and we had a brief conversation about how they ran into Tim and met him and whatever. And then it just was like, I started asking him about touring the world and different places he's been, because I've been a lot of places.
Sure.
And we really were telling war stories about, this place and that place that we had been. Mm-hmm. And I literally sat there for a good 30, 40 minutes just shooting the shit with Clint Tipton, which was like...
But that's cool as hell.
Dude, it's one thing, and you've met your share of rock stars too, and it's one thing to meet these guys. And you know what? If you're a fan, the first time you meet a band and you shake their hand and you take the little picture or whatever... That's kind of fun.
Right.
But at this point, I don't even want to meet them anymore. I don't want to wait around an hour and a half for them to take a shower and get cleaned up so that I can get ushered through like a fucking cow getting the bolt gun to his head.
Right.
I'd much rather I like what I do now, which is I get on the phone with them when they're doing press and I can ask them anything I want for 20 or 30 minutes.
Sure.
It's just more for me. That's as a fan. That's way more fulfilling.
Yeah.
I went to Jeff Tate. Jeff Tate played this acoustic thing down at the Kent stage.
Right.
And it was me and my friend Scotty and John Drake.
Yeah.
We went down there, and after the show, I didn't have enough passes to get everybody to meet Tate. Mm-hmm. So I gave up mine. I was like, here, you guys go meet, because they were like pumped to meet Jeff Tate. And I was like, I've met Jeff Tate,
right.
I've got the picture. And instead I sat there goofing around with his daughter and taking pictures with his daughter.
Yeah, I saw some of those pictures. For me, it's still kind of a thrill. I mean, meeting, when I first met Alice Cooper, that was like mega for me, because I'd been a fan since I was like 12 years old.
Now, was it a handshake meet, or was it a, hey, how you doing?
We actually won to eat dinner with him at his, when he had his, when he had his restaurant. So it was kind of cool. We were all at a big table, but then after he finished, he'd start walking around to everybody and shaking their hands and signing. And I stood up, and he goes, no. And I said, you're Alice Cooper, man. I've been a fan of that guy for 40 fucking years.
Hell yeah.
And then obviously meeting Judas Priest in 2009 was a big deal. And meeting the original Black Sabbath out in Manor. Yeah. We waited 5 hours in line. And I know that was one of those shaking hands, walking through and getting stuff signed. But it was 6 months or 8 months after Bill Ward had his heart attack.
Right.
And I just says, how you doing, Bill? Kind of pointing at my chest. And he stood up and shook my hand just because I was, I guess you want to say, considerate enough to even think about something like that. And then I remember walking in front of Ozzy, and he had those blue round glasses, and it was like he was looking through you.
He was like,
yeah.
What's your name, mate?
But they were all, But that's Black fucking Sabbath.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that was like one of the only interviews that I have not done. And I mean, dude, because you've known me a long time at this point. I've been doing this a while. So metal-wise, I've had the very awesome opportunity to meet just about everybody that I want.
Sure.
And the only guy really that I have not interviewed that I want to is Ozzy. And I don't know how easy that would be to do.
I was going to say, you probably wouldn't understand you.
Wouldn't matter. It still would be on the phone for 20 minutes with Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah,
that would be fucking cool.
Yeah.
Even if it was 10 minutes, that would be fucking cool. But I did get the chance to meet him. And this is, I don't know if I've ever even told this story on the show or not, but this is kind of a fun story. So, as you're well aware, I'm tight with the Pantera boys.
Sure.
And they were on the Ozfest in, what would that have been, 97, 98, one of those years.
Right.
And I was hanging out, and it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon or whatever, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And Vinnie Paul got a hold of me and was like, do you want to come backstage? And I was like, sure. And he was like, do you, can you get us some beers? We're out of beer back here. And I was like, yeah, fine. So I go over to that little side thing there at Blossom, and I get like a tray of beers. I get like 8 beers, and I go over to the side, and Vince meets me, and he takes me back, he takes me backstage. And we're back, and we basically go in their dressing room, and I hand out beers like a waiter,
Yeah.
Here you go, gents. But at some point, he says to me, he goes, dude, do you want to go meet Ozzy?
Fuck.
And I was like, fuck yes, I do. So he's like, okay, come on. And he walks me back to like another room, and he comes in the room. And he just says to Oz, he goes, this is our buddy from Cleveland, Ozzy. And Ozzy's like sitting on a couch, and he just kind of, he wasn't wearing glasses or nothing, but he's just sitting on the couch. And he kind of didn't even move except to do like the eye flip to like halfway look up. He was like a total fucking zombie.
Yeah.
But then he just sort of lifts his hand up slow and goes, how you doing?
Yeah, that's how he was at that record signing. I mean, he was like he's totally fucking out of it anymore.
He was definitely
and
not
that was, when was that? 98, I think, when I met him.
So that's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
what, did you see Sharon? Was she there?
I did not meet Sharon.
Oh, okay.
I did not meet her at all.
I just wondered if you saw her or anything.
No. I didn't see her. I didn't meet her, and really don't have any interest in seeing her or meeting her, actually. No. But it was good times to meet him, and obviously I have a connection with Zach as well. So
right,
I certainly have had other opportunities to run into Ozzy.
Right.
I've met him, few times, but
I've never met Zach, but he seems like he'd be a pretty cool guy.
He's a wild man, dude.
Is he?
The funnest. I mean, we've had some silly times, and I wish my son that lives in Pittsburgh was here. I'd show you the guitar that he gave him when he was born.
Oh no, shit.
I've known Zach it's so goofy, man. There was 2 clubs up one on each side of the bridge over there in San Francisco. There was the Stone and the Omni. And
right.
Depending on if you're in Oakland or San Francisco, you went to one of those 2 clubs.
Right.
I think it was the Omni, they had like an upstairs where like the rock stars would all hang out.
Yeah.
And it was kind of an unwritten rule that you just didn't fuck with them, because a lot of them lived there, and that was kind of their hangout. And a lot of times bands would play and it would turn into like a jam. So a lot of times you would just go on a Friday night just hoping that you'd see
somebody that you know.
Yeah, the guitar player from Faith No More jump on stage and
right.
play War Pigs or something. You never knew what you were going to see. So one night I was in there seeing some band called the Psychedelic Cowboys. They're nobody. They were nobody. They never became anybody. But I was there to see the Psychedelic Cowboys. And sitting at the bar is Zakk Wylde. And I recognize this is 91, maybe.
Did he have
90.
his big old beard?
No,
okay,
it was before.
See, that's what's something
up.
that's always amazed me. What he looked like this clean cut, long haired kid, and to what he looks like nowadays.
Right. Yeah, this was clean cut guy.
Yeah,
but I recognized him right away.
Sure,
I was a huge fan of No Rest for the Wicked.
Oh yeah.
So and the guitar playing on that is just fucking sick.
Was that the one with Fire in the Sky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I see him there, and I of course break the rules, and I sit right down next to him, like, "Hey man, how you doing?"
Right.
And he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, let me buy you a beer." And he's like, "Yeah, okay." So I bought him a beer, and I just bullshitted with him for a little while, and we talked for a long time, and then that was kind of it. But it was like, we sort of he and I sort of got on. So
right.
So it was one of them things that I got a phone number from him, and
cool.
I called him at some point, and when he was coming to Cleveland, and he invited me to a show, or I called him to see if we could hook up when he was here in Cleveland. He was like, "Yeah, sure." So we did, and we became friends.
Cool.
After, and then once I ended up in the media, then it was like a whole different thing. And I mean, you remember when I was on MMS?
Sure.
Anytime Zach did anything, he was on the metal show.
Right.
Because I knew him.
Right. And
I could always, use what I had then with the metal show to help promote BLS or Ozzy or whatever. So it's cool how that relationship worked out. It's pretty cool to see that he's now back with Ozzy, because that's where he belongs. Yeah. That's where he belongs.
Oh yeah.
I love Black Label. Don't get me wrong, but come on, the guy should be playing shows.
What was the first band? It was before Black Label.
With him?
Yeah,
Pride and Glory.
That's it, Pride and Glory.
Yeah, that's a good record too.
Yeah, I have that.
That's a damn good record. I just
couldn't remember the name of the fucking thing.
Yep, good stuff, man. But anyway, I think we're off and running, dude.
Let's do it. Yes, sir.
Why don't we play a couple of tunes? Now you got me thinking about some BLS, so let me find. I'll go Pride and Glory. How about that?
There you go.
Pride and Glory. I will add a nice little Pride and Glory song to the next little thing that we're going to do here.
Fucking A.
So how's about we do some This is going to be slow, folks, because I'm a retard when it comes to this fucking technology. But so far, so good. Nobody's bitching do you see anybody bitching?
I haven't even been looking because I can't see the fucking chat room. I need a bigger screen.
Come on, that's a 17-inch laptop.
Well, I need to make the letters bigger, even with these stupid fucking reading glasses.
Well, fuck it. I'm going to assume that we're doing okay. So we are going to play some music, and then we'll come back and we'll get things rolling. So check it out. This is Pride and Glory with Zach Wilde. This one is called Losing Your Mind right here
on your Classic Metal Show.